Okay, hi. Yeah. There's IFS. Uh, yeah. Uh, okay, Banim Rishonim, Eretz Rishonim Nitzmach is a Tov of. So sometimes you have children who are Rishonim, and nevertheless, it's going to be an advantage to the father as well from these children who are Rishonim. Kini Avram, like Avram being Shetz and Yishmael, that Avram Avinu, he had a child Yishmael, Ubnei Keturah, Shetz Absolas Ayedeim. That the negative aspects of Avraham Avinu came out through the negative child. So it was an advantage for I'm not sure why it's such an advantage for Avraham Avinu. It's an advantage for Yitzchak, but what he's saying is an advantage for Avraham that he had was able to have a son as great as Yitzchak because he had children to which his deficits went, which are to Yishmael and the children of Keturah. I want to point out that Tzadok had no children. He had stepchildren through one of his wives. Was married 3 times, but he never had children of his own. So it's hard to imagine a person who was an actual father saying that he was. It's a plus for Abraham Avinu that his children were not considered his children. But this is something which, it's. I don't know, Reb Tzadok, since he didn't experience it. Maybe it was easy for him to say, but he says Shebezeh tzorich sheyizkev. The father has to merit sheyufka Torah zara mehem that they should not long be considered his children. Much closer by Avraham, like it says by Avraham, ki Yitzchak yikol zara, that your children will come through Yitzchak. So it's hard to imagine, especially with Abraham Avinu, who was supposed to be the paragon of Chesed, the of Chesed, that he's going to feel, oh, great, the Yishmael and Keturah, the children of Keturah, then I'm really my children. It doesn't seem that that's the case, but as Reb Tzadok is saying, Kamash Kosev Aseres Hashvatim, the Sobrekani Bamos, Lozoz Misham Achasum Gemurim, Gegoim Gemurim. This is that I don't remember what this says over there at the end of the first paragraph of Yuvamas. Let's see if I can find this quickly. Um, okay. Oops, it's not showing up here. Okay. It says about the Aseres Hashvatim. It says, "Lozaz mishamach asum of the gemurim shnemar b'Hashem bogdu ki banim zorim yoladu." So this is an astonishing thing because it seems that how could they possibly become non-Jews once the 10 Shvatim, they even they become conduct themselves like goyim. Um, they're not goyim. So he brings that from the Karen Ora, who says that after kol might be hakadmonim ben of the ayadina legam b'kol chavim. It seems that he wants to say that people who were absorbed in ancient times among non-Jews, they became like non-Jews, and then because like the 10 tribes were lost to the Jewish nation because they got completely mixed in, assimilated with non-Jews, so therefore they have a status of non-Jews. But as this Rabbi Stav here points out, Some going of the Chum, it sounds like it's they made them like non-Jews. And he brings down here from a Ritva. That their marriages are not valid marriages. He said, since they're no longer among the Jewish, so therefore we're going to declare their marriages null and void. But for other purposes, you can't make a Jew like a non-Jew. Since according to strictly of law, they're Jews. Nisha the Kod the Maisiv, the language of the Pasuk that brings Kibonim Zoim Miladu Mashma L'chom Okov L'chom Shavidu. Sounds like they're non-Jews in all matters, not just for marriage. Pinavim Ruach Kodesh Nasazos, and it was done by some sort of prophecy or some sort of divine decree, which they got in some other way, that they were able to make a one-time statement about the Ten Shvatim that they are not considered Jewish. And he brings down here a Chasam Sofer. He says, there's an amazing statement of Chasam Sofer. It's a shocking statement that there's Am Yisrael has the power to remove the rebels from the nation and make them as if they're complete goyim, which it could be the Chasam Sofer when he was saying this about that they should do something similar to Reform Jews, because Reform Jews at that time, Chasam Sofer, were beginning to become a power. So there's a very difficult Gemara, which Tzadok is bringing down here. But according to this Gemara, which Tzadok is bringing down, it'll come out that you could take Jews and make them non-Jews. And that evidently is what he's saying. What happened was with the children of Avraham, even though he didn't have to come on this with Avraham Avinu because he wasn't Jewish. The Judaism only starts with Matan Torah. So therefore, later in history, we have this difficulty. How could they possibly do that? The Gemara Yabamas, time of Avraham Avinu, wasn't really necessary. So it was much easier. So however you understand the Gemara Yabamas, what they did to the Ten Shvatim, and I assume the real simple shot is that they gave them the status as non-Jews, like the first shot we saw from the Karen Ora, because they got assimilated among the non-Jews. And that's the way we treat all the tribes of Asia today. The ones who come and claim that they're Jewish and that they go back to the 10 tribes or something like that, we say, well, that might have been, but since you, all these years, you've been living assimilated among the non-Jews, we assume you became mixed in with the non-Jews, and therefore your status is not Jewish anymore. But that is the halacha l'maisa, how we actually could relate to these nationalities nowadays. Again, for Avraham Avinu's children, he didn't have to do that because there was no Judaism at the time. But the point of Tzadok is being down here is from this statement of the Ten Shvatim, he's taking that and learning from that it's possible, certainly, the time of Avraham Avinu, that his children are not going to be his children anymore. But he's saying that there is this concept which can even happen later on. It brings out Yadu Diver Zasar Ramban Apostle Shoresh Poreh Rosh Vayin Sham, and that also the Ramban makes a statement that it's possible that you have Russia giving a tzaddik his birth to Russia and takes all the chesronos of the tzaddik and puts them into his son as a Russia in order that those chesronos, those shortcomings, should not impact his other children. And this is it says Chizkiah Berkan the Brachos. So Chizkiah was a king, did not want to get married, did not want to have children, because he saw in Ruach HaKodesh, he saw a prophet prophetically that his children are going to be very wicked people, and he had the child Menashe, who was considered to be one of the people that have no portion in the world to come, because he was a very wicked person. So that may be. So, but Yeshayahu Novi came to Chizkiah and said, if you're not going to get married, you're not going to have children, so you're going to lose your Chayil Kolam Haba. You're going to die young, and you're going to lose your Chayil Kolam Haba. So, it says that because Baruch Hu told Chizkiah through Yeshayahu Novi, you have to have Menashe. That's my problem. If he's a Russia, that's not your problem. It's my problem. I have my plans. Okay, Menashe is one of the people. Well, for us, why are you getting the bottom of Tzidkas of Hashem? How your children turn out is not up to you. It's up to me, right? Or up to them because they have free will. But it's not up to you. But you have to have children. That's a separate thing. You have them by approval. Even your children are going to be wicked people. For Menashe, most of Shem Menashe was one of the people who has no portion of the world to come, according to Gemara in Sanhedrin. Never Mashiach ben David. Nevertheless, all the entire lineage of Mashiach ben David, Choshel's Kedusha, and all the lineage of Kedusha, mean all but have been lost. Ilulo Nolad, when you're not born. In other words, Chizkio would have died childless, and the whole lineage of Mashiach. Although it's not so clear that Mashiach has to come from Chizkio. Chizkio himself, Chazal say, there was a chance that he would be Mashiach. But I'm not sure that Mashiach has come from Chizkio. But the point is that obviously, because I think that Mashiach ben David can come from any descendant of David and Melch, doesn't necessarily have to be through a specific through the specific line of Malchus based David by his Rishon. But that's not the point. The point he's making is that Kodesh Baruch Hu told Chizkiyahu, you have to have a child even though he's a Russia, and that's it's a good thing. Okay, whatever happens, happens, but that's a good thing. And of course, Menashe ultimately had descendants who were big tzaddikim, like Yoshio, another king, was a very great tzaddik. So you never can tell how it's going to come out in the end, and it's going to be a great advantage. Umatzina by Kodam Yishtachabu Parshas Bo. Find that the Parshas Bo, when Moshe Rabbeinu told Bnei Yisrael they're going to be safe from Mitzrayim, you're going to have children, and you're going to enter Eretz Yisrael. It says they bowed down. Perish Rashi Samchu, they were rejoiced. Abasuras Habanim, on the fact they were told they're going to have children. For Hisham, the children were referenced there. Ubeshelos Ma'avodah Zos Lachem. The whole discussion in that parsha is children who are going to say, "What is this avodah to you?" about the avodah of the night of Pesach, and Shu Shelos Ben Arosha, which is the question of the Ben Arosha Kis Bagoda, Vav Hake, and it says you're supposed to break his teeth. I feel like some nevertheless they rejoiced on being told they're going to have children Rishonim. So here I'm saying a different idea. He started by saying that the Rishonim are advantageous to the father because all the negative things that go to the child is a Russia and the child is a Tzaddik will therefore be able to flourish and do what he's supposed to do. But he's saying something even more of the Chiddush. He's saying that, no, even the child is a Russia, he himself might bring a tremendous milah to the world. And that's why Menashe, even though he himself was a Russia, but he had children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, who perhaps even be Mashiach someday. And certainly were children of his tzaddikim. And the same thing, when Am Yisrael leaves Mitzrayim, because Moshe Rabbeinu says you're going to have children, and they say, what kind of children? And Moshe Rabbeinu says that the children are going to be the Ben HaRasha and the Agoda. They're going to be the wicked child of the Agoda. They're still happy. Because there's a purpose for them. Even every child has a purpose. Mil b'medrash, before Shlefach, Ayin Sham, that there is opposite. So Tzadok says, it's interesting because Tzadok usually doesn't leave these things as a matter of question, but here leaves us over the question. He says the Medrash in Tanchum Truma Tessa for Shlefach says the opposite. Ayin Sham. If Shlomo Melech will have a Sham, Shlomo Melech Davin, Shem Yevakish Ben, that if he asks for a child, Fu Yeh Russia, and that the child's going to be a Russia, Lo Yitain Lo Hashem Yisrael, Hashem should not give him that child. So, seems the opposite. It seems that that there's possible that the person should dive in not to have a child if that child's going to be a Russia. Despite the fact we just saw that it is good to have a son as a Russia, either because it's good for the other children or because there's some ultimate purpose to that son as a Russia. But Shlomo Melech said not that way. He asked that if his children are going to be Rishonim, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu should not let him have children. So again, Tzadok does not actually address why the difference. I don't think I have anything written down by me why how to resolve this question. Let me just check quickly. No, I don't. I brought down here the Ramban. I wrote down side of my Tzidkas HaTzaddik. I don't think it adds anything. Yeah, no. Um, but this interesting Gemara about Basra, which it doesn't bring down. I don't know why. In Kuflam Gimel Beis, where it says that that a that a person, if a father wants to take his inheritance and give it from, we're supposed to go to one of his children who are showing and give it to one of his children who are tzaddikim. You're not supposed to participate in that. You're not to be there too. It's not so simple. There's a big discussion in the Gemara. So one opinion in the Gemara there says that you shouldn't be a participant in that because you never know. Maybe someday that inheritance, which would go to the sons of Russia, somehow the Russia will do tshuva or he'll have children who are tzaddikim. So therefore, he shouldn't participate in it. So, but Reb Tzadok does not in the end resolve that question which he began. Why Shlomo? This question with which he ends. In the end, Reb Tzadok ends with this question: why Shlomo Melech daven that if he have a son that was a Rosh Hashem should not give it to him. It could be Shlomo Melech. I don't know if this is true. I'm not saying that it's a real answer, but Shlomo Melech obviously was smarter than anybody else who ever lived. It's possible Shlomo Melech had an understanding that if he had a child that was a Russia, then it would be an exceptionally bad thing somehow because of his perspective on his deeper perspective and understanding. But I don't think that that's the case. It'll end with the question. Okay. Ayin test. The damage one causes on high by Averis, which one does. Um, who derech masher amru anu omrim, it's like we say shachama leke. We say that the sun has an eclipse. And the truth is that when the sun eclipses, we know nothing happens to the sun itself. The sun on its in itself and on its side doesn't get eclipsed at all, doesn't get harmed at all. It's just that the moon gets between the sun and the earth, and the light can't come down to the earth. This is called an eclipse of the moon, the sun. And he puts even stronger language. Lokus means damage to the sun. The sun is loca. The sun is hurt. It gets whipped, even though nothing happens to the sun. Right? Nothing happens to it itself, because because the purpose of the sun is to give light to the earth. There's a locus mitzidon. It's a damage to the sun that's not able to give its light. Also at night, every night for the people who are experiencing night, it's a damage to the sun. Because also there, even though nothing happens to the sun, it's going to the other side of the earth. But since the sun is supposed to illuminate and it's not able to illuminate, it's also a form of eclipse. Nevertheless, when the moon is out, so it's not a complete eclipse of the sun. The light of the moon comes from the light of the sun. And it's the rays of the sun which come bounce off the moon. Even though we call it the light of the moon, those who know a little bit of science, it's the light of the sun. The sun is not shut down at night, it's reflected off the moon. But at the end of the month, or basically, or at the time of the lunar eclipse, which is always at the 15th of the month, when the sun completely shines on the back of the moon. When also the moon doesn't illuminate, then that is a true eclipse, a shortcoming, a true whipping of the sun. And this is a marshal to the shefa, the flow which comes from above to us spiritually. Uh, Kamash Kosai says, more than the calf wants to nurse from its mother, the cow wants to nurse the calf. So in other words, more than the recipient wants to receive, the giver wants to give. Tachlis ishtaushus atzilus, and the ultimate purpose of how things emanate from above, lashpia lisrael, is to give us a positive influence. Ukshi Yisrael chotim, and therefore when we sin, she'em mekalim or yedias Hashem mizbarach aburia, we don't receive the light of the knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a clear way. In other words, we don't. The fact that we sinned means we're not recognizing or remembering Hashem properly, right? So that's why saying person doesn't sin unless he's affected by a spirit of stupidity, and that stupidity shtus means to deviate, to forget, to not be connected to knowledge of Hashem. Person fulfilled Shibisi Hashem Neditami completely because Baruch Hu say we never sin. Oz Nechshav Kiv Yochel Tashya Tashus. I think you should say the Pamayo Shamala. It's considered to be like a sapping of its strength, a weakening to the heavenly host, to the Shamayim, which wants to be mashpia to the earth. Even though Shamayim itself is not damaged, the damage is in the connection. Damages are by us not being able to receive, but that's also damaged. So it's as if we're damaging on high. Zeu inyan churban dilamala. And that is the idea of being causing churban on high. We can't create a churban on high. We can't destroy anything with Shamayim. Shamayim is holy. So when this fun talking about us destroying on high, it means we're causing Shamayim not to be able to be mashpia, not to be able to influence Aretz. And that is the ghost had daim l'layla. And ghost is not night, like night. And just like at night, there is a sun. It's just on the other side of the world. So to a night, during ghost, there is a shefa coming down from Shamayim. It's just not reaching us properly. Madregas begolus atzmo, and this is the golus, so to speak, of the Shekhinah, is that the Shekhinah can't come down to us. Not the Shekhinah was not there, but we can't experience it. V'avein koseh. L'chein Omar, therefore it says Avayater goyim. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw and he eliminated the reward of Shemitz Bnei Noach from the non-Jews. And it's a very interesting idea which he's saying here. He's saying that that before this HaKadosh Baruch Hu eliminated the reward of Shemitz Bnei Noach from the non-Jews, so they the non-Jews also were in the same situation, that they were able to get the light, and if they sinned, they wouldn't get the light because they weren't receiving. But after that, says Tzadok, when they lost the reward, the primary reward. Of course, obviously there are other rewards, but the primary reward, Shem saying, no, what they lost was that their mitzvahs are not the same as our mitzvahs anymore. Our mitzvahs create or, and our mitzvahs and our various detract from the or. Their mitzvahs are things for which they get credit, and our various which things they don't get credit, or they get demerits, they get the opposite credit, but it doesn't actually create more or in the world, or less or in the world. So Tzadok is saying, because they're taken out of the system. In other words, the whole idea of creating more or creating less or is that the or is able to get through, or the or is not able to get through. And our mitzvahs and our averos allow the or to get through or not get through. But they were taken out of the system. Barabayat going means they're taken out of the system altogether. Their mitzvah averos don't cause more or less or. They don't clear the stoppages or create the stoppages. That the Shekhinah won't reside with non-Jews anymore, and become or cloud. They don't receive light at all. And therefore there's no lack in the light when they are not doing the mitzvahs. It's interesting. The word lakus and the word lack might be connected to each other. I never thought of that before. So therefore it's a whole different system. They're not part of that system anymore. Their mitzvah averos don't create the connection and don't to take away the connection. Only a mitzvah of Am Yisrael and Averos of Am Yisrael. And again, the way our mitzvah Averos work is that the pagam is if we do Averos, so don't think it's going to come done properly. And that's why it says when it says the Ibamas, I think that's some Gimel says that everything that happens in the world is Bishvil Yisrael. And Bishvil Yisrael, the way the Baal Shem Tov, the Gra, I think, understand as well, Bishvil means in the pathway. So if we keep the pathway clear by doing mitzvahs, so then the lights come down, right? Then the shefa comes down. If we don't keep the pathway clear, so then the light, the shefa doesn't come down. So we are in charge of the pathways. The pathway is taken away from non-Jews. So as far as they're concerned, there's no difference between when they do mitzvahs and when they do averos, except personally, individually. They get their reward and punishment as individuals. But as mashpiyim to the world, that create that there should be a shefa, shouldn't be shefa. That's something which non-Jews don't not responsible for anymore. That's the Jews' responsibility from the time Matan Torah on. Okay, very good stuff. We'll stop here. Have a great week. Okay, you're very welcome.